I watched Caitlin Clark break the all-time scoring record in an Iowa household, which, shout out Jalen and Keith, felt like a nice little additional layer that I got to watch it amongst actual Iowa fans. But to watch it yesterday on the main screen, it was a very cool moment. And my mom probably doesn't want me to share this, but she did text me yesterday, and she said, you know, I tend to be a little emotional, but watching the scene at Iowa-Ohio State for someone who grew up when I did is truly a remarkable thing to see this many people coming together, this much energy towards women's college basketball. And we have seen moments, and when Kelsey Plum set the scoring record on the women's side of the game for NCAA. And there have been such great teams with UConn and Tennessee and now South Carolina and what Dawn Staley's doing, back-to-back perfect seasons. There's a lot of energy there, but it all culminated yesterday to watch Caitlin Clark break Pistol Pete's record. Did you watch the game live?
I saw the moment live.
Okay, you saw it. Me too.
Yeah.
CJ did not. He missed it.
I had it on a screen.
Yes.
Because I got so many.
So many screens. Please rename him Gary 7 Screens Parrish.
And so when I knew she was getting close to the record, I turned the volume up and focused on that just to, have that experience. I figured it was something I would talk about. Plus, it's history.
Right.
And it is me.
History.
Thank
you. And I hate that word, but I'm trying to lean in.
I don't follow women's college basketball closely. Only because I don't have the capacity for it. Like, there's only so many hours in the day, and I can only keep so many quadrant numbers in this head. But just the existence of Caitlin Clark has made me aware of her in Iowa, of what other schools are good in the Big Ten. Like, I know that Indiana's good at women's basketball, and I only know that because of Caitlin Clark.
And Ohio State.
Yeah, right. I know Ohio State's good at women's basketball. I only know that because of Caitlin Clark. I wouldn't know that otherwise.
Right.
Gino and Pat, what they did a generation before, what Dawn's doing now. Because of Caitlin, I'm also aware that there's a young woman at USC who's amazing and maybe will break this record someday.
Gigi Watkins, let's go.
So she is the reason people like me are aware that this stuff is even happening. And what I'm most interested in about what happens next is, can she have this kind of impact on the WNBA? She has clearly changed women's college basketball. There's no getting around that. There's like this clear line in the history of the NBA where it's like the NBA was this, and then Magic and Larry came, and it boom, and then we're here, and then Michael came, and it's boom.
Yeah.
Can she be one of those things? Can she, the way I'm aware that Indiana and Ohio State are good at basketball only because I follow Caitlin Clark, can she make me aware that the Atlanta Dream are good or bad? Or the New York Liberty are good or bad? Can she make me know randomly when you ask me in the middle of next season who's leading the East, and I'll be like, well, that team is.
Sure.
Can she change that league? I don't know, but I'm fascinated to see it play out.
The Magic Bird thing is the line of demarcation for the NBA. Yes. And you're right, and it's because of that rivalry that was, hey, we're going to pit these two players against one another in college, and I felt like we were doing that with Paige Beckers. Right, and it was Paige Beckers versus Caitlin Clark, and then Paige goes down injured.
Right.
And so now we've kind of done away with that forced rivalry, and now it is just Caitlin Clark. I think that it is much harder as an individual to push a league over to something else, as opposed to having a rival come into the league with you at the same
like
time.
the Magic Larry thing. I mean, we don't have to dance around it. The race was a big part of it. It wasn't just Magic and Larry. It was a white man and a black man, and they were college rivals, and then they were NBA rivals, and they were both awesome. Like, that had a big thing to do with it. I don't know who can be if we're going to break it down by race, who can be the Magic Johnson to Caitlin Clark's Larry Bird.
They tried last year to make it Angel Reese.
They tried Angel Reese, but is she that type of WNBA player?
No,
yeah, right.
I don't think
so
could it be? I mean, and then you get into just the faces of the WNBA. A'ja Wilson, to me, is the face of the WNBA right now. And even though there will be an age gap there, can they have moments early that give you a reason to want to watch more? And we'll see. And that depends on Caitlin Clark's game immediately translating and immediately being put in a situation where she's shooting the lights out of these games and you have to tune in.
Well, she's going to make shots.
Yes.
I mean, she's a shot maker.
I really wanted her to make that. When she pulled up from the logo, she could have taken at least 3 more steps in, and she didn't. And we got her from the free throw line.
Everybody sees the long, ridiculous shots.
Yes.
Like, she shoots a great percentage. in incredible volume.
She's also such a good facilitator. She is such a good passer.
Yes.
Like last night or yesterday afternoon, I mean, she had 5 assists in the first half of a quarter.
Right. Like, it's why the whole Jay Williams controversy made no sense whatsoever.
Right.
Like, the idea that she's not great because she hasn't won an NCAA championship. Like, Kevin Durant didn't win an NCAA championship.
Right.
Neither did Steph Curry. Like, what are we talking about? She is a great basketball player, a world-class shooter, and I don't think there's any real doubt, barring injuries, of course, that she's going to be a high-level WNBA player. Is she going to be the greatest of all time? I don't know. That's a weird place to set the bar. Like, that's really hard to be the greatest of all time. But she's going to be the #1 pick, and not just because she's super famous, because she's a real basketball player. She's great.